we are finally back. Welcome to the Unqualified for Space podcast. My name is Michael, and today I have return guest, Mr. Laurence Tognetti. He is a Air Force veteran, a scientist who is much more qualified than I am to talk about anything we talk about. How you doing, Laurence? What's going on?
Good, man. I'm good. I'm just living the apocalypse one day at a time, man.
Hey, that's, I'm right there. I'm right with that.
I'll tell you what, man, I'm digging the shirt, but the last time we did an interview, you had nothing on your wall. I'm digging the poster. That's a great poster.
That's all for you, because I noticed the one in the background of yours right there.
Oh yeah, which one? I don't even know what I have. Oh, this one. Yeah. I don't even know what I have back here. I got one that like fell down that used to be up here.
Yep.
And the little like sticky tack, so it's like behind my couch and I can't get it.
Oh, trust me, I had to jerry rig this one because my kids ripped it off the wall on accident running by
here.
So I fixed it though. We're all good. I gotta have the solar system up for a space podcast. So
absolutely, it looks great. It does.
So last time we started the interview by asking, so why space? So we got that answer from you.
Yeah.
So this time I'd like to ask, since the apocalypse has been happening since earlier this year, late last year actually, is how has space kind of kept you motivated or like looking to the future and inspired?
Well, the one thing that's really kept me motivated is watching the SpaceX crew missions.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, last year they had Demo-1, which is a very successful mission, but then it exploded on the launch pad during a test, and then they had to push back the crew mission, and then they had their little like abort test, which was flawless, and then they had the Demo-2 actual crew mission. And just watching that unfold, that was, I think, if I recall, it was May 30th. So that was like right in the middle of all this chaos. And that to me gave me some motivation that we're going to get through this. That this country's faced some very hard times as we are now, in just all aspects. And that just kind of gave me something to cheer about. Hearing, I think it was Doug Hurley said, let's light this candle.
Yeah.
Will just always stay with me. And this country's been through some enormous ups and downs, and right now it's definitely in a huge downturn in just all aspects. But just watching those two guys, Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley, just literally soar into the heavens, gave me something to cheer about. And then looking forward to the first operational crew mission, Crew 1, which I think is going to be 4 astronauts. I want to say it's 3 Americans and 1 Japanese astronaut.
They just added the other female into it, right?
Yeah, it was Jeanette Epps, I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
If not, if I'm totally mistaken, then she's on Crew 2. But I want to say she's on the Crew 1 mission.
Mm-hmm.
That's supposed to launch here, I believe, in the next month or 2. I think is what they said. No earlier than September.
Yeah, I think they said like no earlier than September 30th or something like that. But
and so just it's just small things like that just kind of keep me motivated. Obviously, they had the huge announcement yesterday of the 2 gigantically, just mind-bogglingly huge black holes that merged.
Mm-hmm.
They've had a few other. The Mars 2020 rover launched. They had like three Mars launches in like a week, didn't they? Like one from UAE, which was successful, which is on its way. One from China, and then one from us. It's and that was in June, I want to say, or I don't even know what month we're in September right now.
I think it was July.
Oh no, it was. You're right. Yeah, but it was just for like within that 7-day span, you had 3 successful launches to another planet, and just watching that plus the Demo-2 mission, just it's just the small things that kind of keep me motivated, while we're all unfortunately going through all of this chaos.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely, especially like the Bob and Doug's mission, I think it really like united people at a time that was critical in my view, just
Yeah,
because at least for space fans, there's probably a lot of people who had no idea it was even happening.
yeah,
For space fans, at least, it united everybody, which they already were, but even more so to this like one moment in time,
yeah.
which I mean, like the Apollo missions were huge, probably like it's a once in a generational type thing besides then going to Mars. So I definitely am right there with you. I feel like it was a hugely inspiring and motivating time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So one thing I would like to add is that you've recently had some interesting, like kind of social and, you know, career type things. You've hit a certain amount of like online presence, which is pretty awesome. Over
Yeah,
10,000 people following you. You've
I
done some
did.
done some research with Mars stuff. Can you kind of like run us through what's been happening?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, like, I'm fortunate and humbled enough to have reached 10,000 followers. It's a huge accomplishment for anyone on Twitter. But I just always stress that follower count does not indicate a person's like status or a
No,
person's
for sure. Yeah.
person's intelligence. I think I hit like 10,100 yesterday, and I have no more credibility than someone with like 50 followers. It's just something that I've been very fortunate to happen. I actually give some instruction. I get questions from other colleagues on how I've been fortunate enough to be successful to get as many followers, and I tell them all the same thing. It's just I just do my best to put out original, consistent content. You noticed you'll see a lot of folks who don't really have a lot of followers, who've been on Twitter for like since the beginning of time, but only have like 500 followers, because I just noticed a like pattern in that they just retweet the same stuff. They don't, or like all they do is just retweet. They don't like what's now called quote tweet. They don't kind of
Yep.
like put their own little blurb on it. And so when I retweet something, I almost always quote tweet it, and I kind of put my own little blurb to kind of get a conversation going. But I always do my best to kind of put as much original as I can. It's obviously when it comes to science, obviously I'm like borrowing it from like maybe another website or something, and I do my best to give proper credit. But it's always from me. It's not. It's like I like very rarely just retweet
Hmm.
something. It's always like quote tweet. It always has my own little blurb. And just over time, I've been very fortunate to just rack up the followers that I have. Unfortunately, I've had to like go back and stop following certain people. Certain people I thought were okay to follow ended up just tweeting just some inappropriate stuff, and I've had to kind of trim. And so over time, it's worked out to where I have this current ratio.
Well, I feel
Of
like
it.
it kind of speaks to like you as a person though, right? Because I've never seen anything that has been anything other than like uplifting from your stuff, right? So I think that speaks a lot to that as to like your presence online.
Oh well, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. And someone else was saying that, they were saying like what goes around comes around. So
Yeah.
I must be doing something nice. I said, well, I try my best. I mean, I'm not perfect, like every now and again I have my moments of like, but I just over time, I've just noticed Twitter has become this like unfortunate cesspool of just
Yeah,
negativity, of just
it
people
is.
airing their dirty laundry. And so I always try to do my best to put just strictly uplifting tweets, whether it's about like Mars or just saying, hey, you know what? I just think you all are awesome, and
Mhm.
just something uplifting. And I feel I have a great thing going on Twitter. I do my best to interact with everyone on there. I actually had someone DM me the other day because they were upset because I wasn't interacting with them. And I said, okay, look, like I have like 10,000 followers. It's really hard to manage. Like, And then
Yeah,
like,
when you have that level of people writing at you, I imagine it's difficult. I have like 1,500 something, and it gets difficult for me sometimes.
yeah, no, it's like sometimes like I would post something and then the like notifications would rack up and I would have to mute it. But when I mute it, then I miss questions, and then I would have to go back and which is fine. I like do my best to interact, to answer folks' questions. But if I don't, like, by all means, like, shoot me a DM. You're like, hey, I just let that I asked you a question, in case you missed it, and I always do my best to respond. But yeah, you mentioned that, and then plus, yeah, I was doing some research with Dr. Antonio Paris. You can follow him at Antonio Paris on Twitter. The last time you and I spoke, I want to say it was like February, and we had just gone to the field, but we had to depart 24 hours after because just everything was going wrong. We got like multiple flat tires. I'm not sure if he really wants me to get into it, but yeah, essentially, like, it just didn't go as planned because it's just science.
Yeah, it just happens. Yeah,
it just happens. And so we had to drive back from Flagstaff back to Phoenix, and he had to fly back because we just couldn't get anything done. And then he actually flew up. I want to say it was late April. He flew over from Florida, and we drove up. And ironically enough, we were still only there for 24 hours, but we knocked out everything that we needed. Like everything. We went out into the field. We went out into the literal desert of northern Arizona. No one's out there. It was a very eye-opening experience, and he brought his drone. We took some great video. The research itself was studying analog sites of obviously here on Earth, of sites that we see on Mars that might have had past signs of water, or signs of past water. And it was a very successful trip. It was a very successful paper. I was fortunate enough to get obviously he's first author. I was fortunate enough to get second author. That's all up on the website archive. I have my third author paper with him from last year, from the research we did last year on the lava tubes. And those papers will definitely help me when I'm applying for PhD programs this fall. But yeah, that was a hugely successful trip. And now I guess he's just like up and just lived in his truck. I don't know if you've been following him at all.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've been seeing all his photos and things he's been taking.
No, he's retired Army, so he has his retirement pension. And so yeah, he could just do that. He's just living in his truck, and he's just going literally cross country. I don't even know where he is right now.
Yeah, I think last I saw he was out in like Yellowstone or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely having a blast. And he's a fantastic scientist, fantastic guy. And I was very fortunate to do some great research with him, and I sincerely hope I can do some more research with him in the future. But yeah, that was a hugely successful trip. We took some great video from his drone, and it was great.
Do you feel like a lot of that research that you guys are doing, and I'm sure plenty of other scientists as well, all these analog kind of things, do you feel like it's exponentially speeding up our, let's not say understanding, but probable survivability on Mars? Do you feel like it's exponential, or just kind of slowly moving the 8 ball as far as like our getting us there?
To me, science itself always just kind of slowly moves the 8 ball. There's rarely those like big wham discoveries that just change everything. But in terms of Mars, is definitely slowly moving the 8 ball. Mm-hmm. We are using a lot of these analog studies, specifically with like lava tubes. The studies of lava tubes to show that they will be beneficial in shielding astronauts from the very intense, very deadly radiation on Mars. Yeah,
that's our best bet, from what I understand as a non-scientist, but just fan of science, that to shield us from radiation without having to build anything on the surface, we just live in the tubes, right?
Yes, and one thing that's still being considered is the use of the Martian regolith. Here on Earth, we
Okay.
call it soil, but soil obviously has organic matter where stuff can grow. Mars is just dirt. So the word regolith is just another just a fancy way of saying dirt. I think if I recall
Yep.
correctly. And so, but no, studies are currently being done to show that both on the moon and Mars that you can cover your habitat in this like lunar regolith and this Martian regolith, and that's enough with a certain thickness, and that's enough to shield the astronauts. When I took a class in I want to say it was fall 18, it was called Moon After Settlement, and and every week we would address two questions that we would ask the previous week. And the one question I kept asking every week was, well, should we have a fully, exposed habitat, or should we have a fully submerged, or maybe partial? And it just kept getting passed over. But thankfully, um, persistence pays off. And finally, like week 12 of the class, somebody was like, "Hey, Lawrence keeps asking about this moon settlement, this moon habitat. Can we like address that?" And so I was fortunate enough to literally draw up a moon habitat module where it was half submerged. It was the top half was when like I designed it to where the rover or whatever would come up and dock with it, and then the lower half would be the living quarters and stuff. But the top half was covered by a certain thickness of lunar regolith, and I think that we're going to see the same thing on Mars. Like, obviously, you're going to need some type of like construction to like dig out anything, or maybe you just like build it in a crater and then you like slowly over time bury it, something like that. But
Yeah, that'd be like a long-term deal.
Oh yeah.
Obviously. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but the use of the Martian regolith, as I said, a certain thickness. And I apologize, the exact number is escaping me. But that is enough to shield astronauts. But if nothing else, to avoid just all that like construction, if you will, yes, lava tubes are definitely being looked into, because we're talking about 6 months to get there. You're gonna have to wait 2 years to come home for the planets to realign, and then 6 months back. So it's 3 years of getting blasted by deadly radiation, and yeah, we're gonna have to look at every possible option in terms of making sure our astronauts come home.
That's interesting. I haven't heard about the regolith using that. I guess it's kind of like an analogy to like a mud hut or like the Adobe huts. It helps shield it from the heat. So I guess it makes sense when I think about it. Just I'd never heard that before. It's interesting.
Yeah, no, I think there was for the like lunar regolith, there's like discussions going on of like using mixing the regolith with water and then making it into literal cement, and you just cover your whole habitat in a certain thickness, as I said, and that's enough to shield you, and the same could be done on Mars.
I'm sure much smarter people than myself are, because Mars dirt, has perchlorates in it, right?
Yeah.
That's the reason why we can't grow anything, unlike the Martian. We're not going to be probably farming in our own crap, most likely, but at least you won't be alive long if you try to. So I'm sure there's probably plenty of people that are trying to figure that out. That's why I'm super excited for this Mars sample to return.
Oh yeah.
I think it'll kind of really like kick that into gear and helping us understand how to figure that problem out.
Oh yeah, I don't see us going to Mars without a sample return mission first, so we really understand what we're literally getting ourselves into. But that's still not happening for a couple of years. The Mars 2020 has a number of experiments. It has the Guinea, the copper, the chopper. But it also has where it's going. It's not an experiment, but it's they're essentially putting all this dirt and all these samples into this canister that will eventually someday come back, but that someday we don't know when.
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't think we're going to be sending humans to Mars for at least another 10 years. Mainly from we don't know enough about Mars itself physically, because we have yet to have a sample return mission. But just technologically, we're just kind of not that close yet to me in my mind. I mean, I've like seen like models done of like habitats, how they would look when they're there, and maybe the like interior of a spaceship. But you also have to account that they're going to be in microgravity for 6 months. This isn't the Apollo missions where they were in microgravity for like 3 days, and then they spent when they landed, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin like were inside for a couple hours, and then they got out. If you're in microgravity for 6 months, you literally can't walk. Like astronauts who come back from the space station literally can't stand up. And that's only for a 6 month tour. Granted, this is Earth gravity, Mars is 1/3 of it, but you're still going to encounter problems. And so if you're talking about something that's a like spaceship that's like as as just elaborate as the one in the movie The Martian, the big like rotating cylinder, you're talking like hundreds of billions of dollars. And so I just think it would only work if we had some type of international help. We obviously can't do it on our own.
Yeah, I think that as much as I hate to say it, I feel like I have my thoughts on who's going to be like the first to get us there. I think it'll be private personally. It'll probably be like government astronauts, because every astronaut's pretty much like a government employee basically. Yeah. But I feel like the first few people that actually go are just going to be like, well, thanks for your service. It's kind of you're going to figure it out and you're not coming back type deal. And that's perfectly fine, because that's what they signed up for, right? They're on the cutting edge of, science and human understanding. So as sad as that is for them, it's, advancing civilization, I guess. So.
Yeah, I've long I have the very long held belief that whatever first crew we send isn't coming home.
Yeah.
And as unfortunate as it does sound, as very pessimistic as it sounds, we just don't know what's going to happen. We don't know.
You could get a disease halfway there, and then you're screwed anyways. So.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, it's yeah, you could get sick, and then the rest of the crew gets sick, and then and yeah, you're obviously going to have a doctor on board, I would think, but you just don't know what's gonna go wrong. I mean, Apollo was successful, in they were able to send multiple missions to test all the systems. Apollo 8 was the big one to me prior to the moon landing, even though the moon landing didn't happen until Apollo 11. But Apollo 8 tested all the systems other than landing. And so when I think like 9 and 10, or 9 did Apollo 9 was a like low Earth orbit like docking thing, and then Apollo 10 was the like final checkout. So like with the Apollo missions, we were able to do like these checkouts. We're not going to be able to do that for Mars. Like it's too like
damn far away. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't just like go send this crewed spacecraft to Mars, have it orbit Mars a couple times, and come home like we did for like Apollo 8. We just can't do that. I don't know. I've had the very unfortunate long-term belief, hypothesis that whatever first crew we're going to send is, it's most likely going to be a one-way trip.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you don't know what could happen. If no disease happens, which is, if human beings are around, somebody's going to get sick at some point.
Oh yeah.
And if the millions of miles of space travel doesn't, something catastrophic happen, or Mars itself doesn't kill you, it's like eventually you're either gonna run out of supplies or something. I mean, obviously we probably pre-position all this stuff so they have years worth of stuff to go through. But I think it's the same. Even if they live, most likely they're just you're going and you're not coming back. So just prepare yourself for that.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's. Yeah. I'm not really sure what to expect. I mean, like obviously no one is, but we're just slowly pushing the 8 ball along, and we'll just see if it ultimately lands in the hole.
So speaking on that, so we kind of talked a little bit about why the DM-1, DM-2, and the upcoming Crew 1 missions kind of inspired you, and we've been talking just about going to Mars. How do you feel that the upcoming Crew 1 mission, obviously DM-2, Bob and Doug going up to the ISS, how much do you feel like that's actually proved, quote unquote, to the public that this stuff is still possible, so to reinvigorate the kind of want to go to Mars and such?
Oh no, it's absolutely reinvigorated. That coupled, alongside with SLS currently being built, they had that huge test. I think it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Has definitely reinvigorated not just folks in my field, but but fans of space, everywhere, and especially with this Crew 1 mission. I think that capsule was the max it can fit is 4. I think like initially it was 7, like they could launch up to 7.
Yeah, I think they retrofitted just to have only 4, because that's what
Yeah.
NASA said they were only going to do, or something to that extent.
Yeah, and so just obviously Demo-2 was a huge mission, but if Crew 1 is just as flawless, then that'll absolutely it's just going to keep the momentum going. SLS is obviously very successful. It's over budget, but that's not surprising. Any kind of government project is always going to be over budget.
It's cost plus, so you're not going to get away from that if you have a government contract. So
Say what? Say it again.
It's that cost plus thing.
Oh yeah.
So, that's just the way government operates, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, no, but I actually know people who work on SLS, and I keep and I'm frequently, or I like periodically text them and say, so like this is happening, right? Like this is like for real, because like we all know what happened to the Constellation program back in 0809. Like right after Obama was inaugurated, he slashed it, and then everyone got all mad that he slashed it. But the Constellation program was disgustingly over budget. But even worse, it was grossly mismanaged. Like they were spitballing it. They were just like, yeah, we're going to go to the moon. Okay, when? Oh, yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, when do we get there? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then like it was just this cluster, of just nobody knew what was going on. Whereas like I'm fortunate enough to know people who are working directly on SLS. And everyone knows what's going on. Everyone is just all in. Everyone's in on it. And one of my contacts even said that once SLS flies like successfully for the first time, like NASA, like so many people are gonna retire from NASA. Like all the people who like worked on the space shuttle but have had nothing to do, they're all gonna finally retire because this is like Apollo for them.
Yep.
And so my contact told me that NASA is going to be young again, because all the old farts whoever are gonna retire, because because SLS is their way of like finally getting that fulfillment that they've longed that they've longed for in their very long careers. And yes, it is over budget, but at the same time, everyone is focused. Like one of my contacts said that they're not cutting corners, that they're taking everything seriously. Every little thing is being looked at, and if yesterday's test was any indication, this is happening. It really is.
It's the largest operational like booster type rocket that's ever been produced, correct? From what I
As far
understand.
as I know, yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, Saturn V
Currently, at least. Yeah.
yeah, Saturn V was, is the, king of all rockets. But
Mhm.
yeah, I can't remember. I apologize. I can't remember off the top of my head the thrust comparisons or the size comparisons
Mhm.
of SLS to Saturn V. But it's gonna be darn close. But no, SLS is definitely happening. If yesterday's test was any indication, this is definitely happening. And as I said, coupled with the continuing missions from SpaceX, most notably Crew 1, that's going to be happening in the next month, or two, the first operational. Yeah, things are just the momentum is definitely building.
How do you feel, let's say, on a historical context? You got, Neil, Buzz, and Michael there for 11. That's like pretty much, when you think of Apollo, that's like who people think of.
Yeah.
Do you think of the DM2, Bob and Doug, or Crew 1? Like, which one do you feel like will be more like historical, quote unquote, as far
Uh,
as how people in the future will look back on history?
oh, um, did there was there when Demo 2 went up, there was a lot of similarities being made by a lot of people from to that and Apollo 8, in terms of it gave the country something to smile about. Apollo 8 happened in December 1968. 1968 was not a very good year for this country.
Nope.
It no,
My stepdad was in Vietnam and all that, so yeah, I've heard
yeah.
about all that type of stuff
It
that
just
he had to, and my dad and my mom, and obviously all that. But
Yeah, it just wasn't. And so Apollo 8 gave this country, at least for the briefest of moments, something to smile about. And I think Demo 2 did that, and I think Crew 1 is going to do that as well. Um, now, but at the same time, it's also kind of an indication that this country has regressed.
big time.
Because Apollo 8 obviously went around the moon, and they orbited a few times. It wasn't just like they swung around once and came home. They actually orbited a few times. But Demo 2 and Crew 1 will only go to low Earth orbit. We have not been back to the moon since 1962. And just I'm trying not to for sensitivity issues, I'm trying not to go too far down this rabbit hole. But in a lot of ways, this country has regressed since.
Oh no, I'm 100% agree. We've completely regressed into complete chaos. But I mean, to an extent, I mean, obviously there's more good than bad. But yeah, I feel like people have short memory, obviously, so people don't remember Apollo 8. They're like, oh, Apollo 11. So there's tons of stuff. DM2 versus Crew 1. I mean, they're accomplishing the same mission, just at different times. So that's why I'm curious as to what our future, when they look back, like, all right, which one was returning people to space type historical context.
I think history is going to look back at kind of both of them equally. To be honest, I don't think either one is going to kind of like outshine the other one. I mean, like you might. I mean, like Crew 1 might, just because it's the first operational. They have 4 instead of 2 astronauts on board. But I think from a historical context, I think they're both going to be kind of at the same level.
I feel like the real star of DM2 was Trevor, the little beanie baby dragon.
You know what? Give me just 1 second. Trevor says hi.
And there he is, right there.
A friend of mine sent this to me. She's a nurse in Washington D.C. and she asked for my address. She found one, because God knows, like, no one could find any online. And she found one, and yes, she sent me Trevor. Hi, Trevor. Trevor says hi.
No, I feel like that was it was hilarious how the little things are what people attach themselves to, right? Even though like this whole thing was going on, I thought it was hilarious that that he had this little Trevor animal floating around, but SpaceX obviously is very good at promoting like space travel, and like the video quality of the launches, the camera angles, like all that
Oh, that was
filmography stuff that they do is just
yeah, that
insane.
was well, no, and then you watch the Tianwen-1 mission from China, and it was
Mhm.
just it was nothing. It lasted for like 5 minutes, and like I like legitimately thought it blew up because like the like feed cut out, and it just really let us know how just completely spoiled we are with all of our launches. Even the like ULA launch. I think ULA had a launch the other day, and um, yeah, even those launches are great. But yeah, SpaceX obviously like just has like set the bar in terms of like entertainment for
Yeah.
launches, and their landings of those boosters just never get old.
And I'm really appreciative of lately. I mean, it's all due to atmospheric, interference and things you have if the feed doesn't cut out. But lately we've been pretty lucky where it's pretty much been, besides the one today, it kind of cut out for a little bit. But like they've been pretty much the whole time streamed from, boost back burn to landing.
Oh
And
yeah,
I'm very appreciative of that in the sense of shutting down all the space trolls and haters out there that like, oh, but
oh yeah, no,
yeah,
yeah, it's yeah,
that's been a
yeah,
whole
it's
new renewed interest since DM2 happened.
oh yeah, no, and like every time that they land, but yeah, you're right. Like before you would see it come down, then it would cut out, and then it would like magically appear, and all the trolls are like, "It's fake, it's fake." But now it's not cutting out, so now they have nothing to attack us with. They're like, "Oh well, I mean, yeah." They just
It's
kind of
all
know.
CGI, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But
SpaceX is CGI.
yeah, everything, even Bob and Doug.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I seriously heard that argument when they
Did
were
you
up,
really?
on the space station, because you've always, since people have been on ISS, they've done interviews, they've done movies, all this stuff, and there's always these little things of, oh, you see this little wire in the background, they're holding themselves down with this, or like this whole thing is CGI. And yeah, it kind of hurts my brain to even talk about it right now, but
Yeah. No, it's not. Space isn't fake. And I actually put that like whenever I put a like poll up, if I ask like I think I did a poll the other day, I forget what it was about, but like I always have like option 4 as space is fake, bro, just as a joke. And people have started to like vote for that just to like
just to gig you a little bit, yeah.
yeah, just to like troll me, and I'm like, dude, really? Come on.
Yeah, it's uh, I mean, obviously you got a whole different level of that. Like I feel like on mine that the amount of that has lessened because I'm like constantly just like putting up stuff, and then if somebody says, oh, something is this, and I immediately respectfully as much as possible try and like
Oh yeah.
shoot it down, so
Oh
people
yeah.
are educated, not uneducated. But every once in a while you get the fun ones. But
Oh yeah. No, yeah, definitely. The fun ones, are the ones who enjoy tagging you, and then like have to then you have to like check the notification, then you see it's this big like Earth is gonna be destroyed in 5 years. Like, bro, come on, like really, like I thoroughly enjoy getting tagged, especially folks who like tag me in their like astrophotography. That's just always the best. I get a huge kick out of that. But yeah, every now and again I get tagged in like someone's conspiracy theory, and I'm just like, yeah. We're just gonna mute that one.
yeah, that's all you can do when
Yeah,
it comes to that. Is just
yeah,
when you have unfortunately, I think when you have that much of a despairing view, there's not much middle ground you're going to come to, as much as like probably you and I try. Unlike some other people just shut people down, like you're an idiot, see ya,
yeah,
type
right.
stuff. But I mean, unfortunately, that's just, to an extent, that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I do my best, just like you to, kind of like respectfully let them know, kind of, you, I don't really believe in like really blocking anyone unless they're like getting really out of hand. Like for the most part, like I actually follow people who I've had like disagreements with, and who you know I've had, you know, or you know, like arguments with, you know, about space and whether or not it's like actually real and whether or not we went to the moon. And but yeah, they're excuse me, there are still folks who I absolutely follow who I've had disagreements with. Like I think I've blocked very few people.
I think it's a healthy discourse to have. I mean, you can't have your own just echo chamber of thoughts, right? You got to have that view.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I put one, I think it was just today, like, you know, why Mars is my favorite planet, and someone like might have commented like something about going to Mars or something, or you know, and if I didn't, then I will. I think I might have chimed back in. I think it was that post. It was like, you know, because I'm a you know, Mars geologist, so you know I'm most frequently tweeting about Mars. But yeah, like folks are always kind of, you know, commenting on, you know, going there, and you know, when we're going to go there, and you know, whether or not we're actually going to go there, and yeah.
So we were kind of just talking about ISS, and something that I've been hearing about for a long time. If you've paid attention to space at all, which obviously you and I have, is that, you know, ISS is going to be decommissioned this year, or it's next year, or it's 6 months from now, or, you know, blah, 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 blah. Congress obviously has it in it for the cost of ISS because it's a hugely enormous cost.
It is.
Let's say, I think it's something on the order of like 60% or 70% is footed by the United States because we have the largest portion of it.
Yeah.
But like, what's your thought on all the talk that it's going to become private and they will be operating it and obviously footing the bill in that case?
It absolutely needs to become private, because we are the unfortunately the ISS to me has become what the space shuttle was back in the like 90s and, you know, 2000s. It just ate up a huge amount of money from NASA, from Congress, and we literally were not going anywhere. I mean, yes, the, you know, space shuttle was responsible for you know, building the ISS, but space shuttle costs were way higher than what they originally anticipated. You know, during which time we unfortunately lost two. We lost Challenger in '86 and Columbia in 03. And so of the original six. I
think it's 6. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, we obviously only have 4 left. But those were very much just cost draining. And unfortunately, the ISS has very much kind of entered that realm in terms of like very cost draining, and we're not going anywhere. We're doing some like fantastic science, like, you know, when you know, all these like cargo trips get, you know, sent up. There's actually a lot of experiments on there from like a lot of different universities that paid good money to send it up, and then, you know, astronauts, you know, are you know, obviously up there, and you know, and part of one of their many tasks is to carry out these experiments, and then they like send them on back down when they, you know, send it down, you know, back in, you know, the you know, Dragon capsule. But it's definitely become a very a very cost drain, because we're not going anywhere in terms of like beyond low Earth orbit because of it. So I absolutely think it needs to become private, because then NASA can, you know, as you said, they're footing like 50-60% of the bill, if I recall.
And 50% of billions of dollars is
of billions of dollars. And so now, you know, if you when you slowly make that private, then you now can allocate those billions of dollars to going to the moon, to, you know, going to Mars, to, you know, learning how people can, you know, live better on the moon, and putting that money towards technology so that we can live long term on the moon. You know, I mean, we did have Scott Kelly, you know, live on the space station for a year, and that taught us a lot. And he's, as if I read correctly, he's pretty much damaged for life. Like he had his literal DNA altered.
They said something about his chromosomes were you know, affected in a way that there's no coming back, basically.
Yeah,
Maybe not
right.
necessarily like in the worst case, like it's going to kill them type stuff, but you
Yeah,
know.
but no, like if you slowly make ISS private, then you can start, as I said, allocating funds towards improving astronauts, improving the likelihood, or improving the chances of long-term stays in outer space, whether it's in microgravity, or on the moon, and even Mars. So I absolutely think that we should start phasing out the ISS from government control to private. But then also, but at the same time, if you're going to do that, then because it is a literal international space station, you have to talk with your international partners as to if they're all on board with it. If only the U.S. is going to relinquish its cost type thing. I mean, there's just so much logistics involved, but I absolutely think that it needs to be just kind of slowly phased out.
Yeah,
But still,
I think that for the betterment of space travel, it should be, because then, like you said, it'll allocate the money for all this stuff to be opened up.
yeah,
Um, and I feel like that's a good comparison, shuttle and ISS, because besides that beam module that's on there, expandable, stuff that's been on there for a while now, we haven't necessarily built something that's like the cutting edge of space station.
no,
So, we're kind of that's the only thing that concerns me about like going to the moon. Like we had that awesome presentation of like Blue Origin weighing the contracts with those other landers companies as well, and it was an awesome presentation and all that stuff. But my only problem is how comfortable are we going to get with getting back to the moon? And we're like, sweet, we got there. That's it. That's like my only fear with this type of stuff.
yeah, it's. I mean, I'm very happy that us going back to the moon is becoming more and more private. Obviously, like all presentations that are made or look cool, and then when they really start doing it, they start. That's when the red tape and the reality kicks in, that it's not going to be as smooth as they thought. But it's definitely very uplifting knowing that all these companies are getting in on it, and want to get in on it, on sending humans back to the moon, but not just sending them back there, but staying there long term. Like us staying on this planet is just, we're literally killing the planet. To me, I've compared us staying on Earth to that like 40-year-old son who's like still living with his parents.
Yep. Just
And
can't escape it.
yeah. And then like he's he's eating their food, he's using their resources, he's breathing their air, if you want to go that far. And like he keeps talking about moving out, he keeps talking about like, yeah, I'm like slowly looking into it. And that's kind of where we've kind of landed as a human race. We're always talking about leaving. We're always talking about, leaving this planet because it's overpopulated, because we're just ravaging it. But it's extremely uplifting that we're actually literally doing it. Do I think we're going to go? I had a conversation with a young engineer a couple weeks ago, and I actually agree with her. She doesn't think that we're going to go in 2024, and I actually have to agree with her. I think 2024 was kind of a like rush timetable. I think it's realistically it's going to be like 25, 26, because you always hit hurdles, whether it's financially or technologically or engineering hurdles, safety hurdles, as we saw in the Demo-1. It literally blew up on the pad. Thankfully, no one was killed or even hurt. But just like, you're always going to have setbacks, and so I think realistically we're going to send humans to the moon in probably 25, 26. But I think we're going to have every intention of staying this time, and starting off small, maybe a little small habitat they could like inflate or something on the moon. Something some easy setup. And then like as we start getting more towards Mars, like sending humans to Mars, it's going to be a lot more
elaborate in terms of the like habitats, the like settlements. We're gonna get better, and we're gonna slowly build stuff better. It's gonna be more reliable, but I think it's gonna be a lot harder if we keep funneling all this money to the ISS. I think the ISS has become kind of a drain, a like drag on our progress in terms of like going to the moon and Mars, much like the like space shuttle was. I mean, there was talk. I want to say there was talk before the Columbia disaster of in February '03 of getting rid of the shuttle because it had just become this like drain. We weren't going anywhere. The space station barely started being built in '99, and now as I said, we reached a point where the ISS, I'm afraid, has become that kind of same drain on our budget. And I think if we want the more we phase it out, the more money we can allocate towards going back to the moon and much improving our chances of staying there long term.
Yeah, I think it's vital to maybe let private corporations take it over. Obviously, then we could still pay to maybe have a presence on there, which hopefully would maybe be at a reduced cost than what it is even right now. Obviously, like companies like Rocket Lab and SpaceX and things are making it more affordable to launch things, even people. So that's kind of playing into our favor, obviously.
And then like the Boeing Starliner had that like unfortunate mishap. I mean, but
with
they're
the
actually
software,
but they're actually launching. If I read the headline right, I want to say December is when they're launching the uncrewed capsule, which should go much better. So that's a huge improvement. Actually, no, you know what? I take it back. I said Jeanette Epps was on Crew 1. I want to say
she's on the first operational Boeing. I was totally wrong. Yeah, she's on the first Yeah, I thought that sounded funny because I thought they had already picked the 4-person crew for the Crew 1 mission launching next month or the month after. But yeah, Jeanette Epps and I want to say 3 other people were picked for the first Boeing. Which if this uncrewed mission, proves itself, then yeah, we should see that Boeing mission launch, early mid next year probably.
Yeah, anything that gets us to space, I'm a fan of. I mean, like obviously, like everyone has their preferences on like who they support or who they like. If they don't necessarily support one or the other, but we need competition. Like the SpaceX can't be the only people taking, or else they could charge whatever the hell they want. And then they, which I don't think that would happen. But I mean, we need competition. Free market economy is obviously why we've gotten to where we are right now. So, we need everybody that can do it to be doing it.
Oh yeah, and already I want to say the like cost per seat on the SpaceX Crew Dragon is well below what the Russians were charging on the Soyuz. I think they were charging like $80-something million
per seat. Yeah,
per seat, and I think SpaceX is. I'm gonna have to check on that.
I think it was like 55 or something like that.
And I want to say it's just going to keep going down. I could be wrong. It's just going to keep going down, especially once they master, which they pretty much have, the reusability technology.
What's your thoughts on one lands at sea, one is arbitrarily or hopefully going to be landing on land, based on their contracts and technology, blah 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 blah. Do you see an advantage to one or the other, or that one was maybe given, or are they both, doesn't really matter in your opinion?
You mean to comparing SpaceX and Boeing?
Yeah, like the Boeing one's gonna land on land. Just I think it's out in Utah or Nevada or something like that. That's like the proposed landing sites. And obviously SpaceX splashes down like the Apollo era. Do you see an advantage of one or the other, or why one was done one way or another?
I mean, like just from from a purely, I guess, maybe safety standpoint, I'm always a fan of the water landing, just because it's just much softer. It's a but like from what I understand, Boeing has gotten its capsule to land on land very successfully, to where, you know, it's not going to harm, you know, the crew at all. Like it's a ridiculously soft landing. But to me, like just landing on land, like there's always that added extra, like, you know, like if one of those parachutes goes out, whereas at least like landing on water, yeah, it's going to be harder, but it's still landing on water. I mean, but I mean, you know, I shouldn't say that, because at the same time, like if you land on water fast enough, it's still going to hurt. But just like,
yeah, I mean, it's relatively soft compared to what it would be, obviously.
Yeah. No, no, I mean, I don't really know if there's an advantage of one over the other. I think I'm going to have to relook it up, but I think they might have chosen to do separately on both, just to kind of see how, if there are advantages and, you know, and disadvantages. You know, I mean, obviously the Soyuz crewed capsules land on land, you know, and like everything works out fine.
The only thing they worry about is if it rolls, but you know, they can write it, obviously, because they're right there within like 2 minutes. So.
Oh yeah, no, it's no, yeah, I'm not. I mean, like, so, you know, we're currently landing stuff on land. We just landed Demo-2 on water. I would say they're both equally just as fine. I mean, those you know, parachute systems have proven to be very, very effective and almost flawless, you know, in terms of their, you know, deployment.
I wish that the Dragon capsule would have been able to have left the propulsive landing by the hypergolics, but you know, NASA and the powers that be within SpaceX and Elon Musk obviously came to the conclusion that just too many systems could go wrong if something would go wrong. So that's why they kind of scrapped that program.
Yes, and I'm fully supportive of them scrapping that, because you're absolutely right. There's just too much risk. You know, NASA space travel, it's like all about risk. It's all about mitigating risk, and there was too much risk with that kind of system, with that kind of retro rockets firing and soft landing, which like would have been cool. Don't get me wrong, but if even one of those rockets doesn't fire, it's just a bad day. And so I'm actually very satisfied with their like more like traditional water landing, which is what we did, Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, you know.
Because we saw on DM2 when they were trying to get them out that the hypergolic levels were still too high, so that's why it took like an extra hour or something like that, and they had to let it kind of just evaporate off and all that. Because me being the nerd I am, I was watching the whole broadcast for like 8 hours. But
they had to. It was just too like it was too dangerous to even, you know, like approach it, which is something you didn't see for any of the you know, Apollo, Gemini, you know, Mercury missions. The recovery team was always on site right away. But yeah, you're right. For this one, they just couldn't, because of those like, you know, dangers. And I you know, I'm very confident that they'll, you know, do their best to, you know, fix that issue, you know, going forward.
I did think it was, and I talked with quite a few, speaking about like what we were talking about before, talking with people about theories or whatever online, is people were talking about, well, all these boaters that were out there, and why couldn't the Coast Guard, you know, do this or that or whatever. And I was trying to explain to people what maritime law is and international waters, and how you can't necessarily enforce certain laws in international waters without like an armed presence or all this other stuff. But I mean, even, you know, once they scooped it up and they had it in there, Bob and Doug were sitting there for like an extra 45 minutes because the levels were still too high. But I mean, it is what it is. I don't really have a preference one way or another. Obviously, for refurbishment, salt water equals bad, but I mean, they're pretty good at that, I imagine, by now.
Oh yeah. No, it's I mean, I kind of got a chuckle from the one boat with the Trump flag going, in front of the capsule. I mean, like, were Bob and Doug in any danger? No, I was more concerned with like folks getting too close to the capsule, because you obviously couldn't approach it because of those, dangerous levels. So I think that they're definitely going to have to look into better arrangements for recovering the capsule to avoid all that chaos. I can't remember how far out the capsule landed, because like when the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo capsules would come down. Granted, you probably didn't have as you didn't have nearly as many people with like speedboats back then as you do now. But I mean, there was like a pretty heavy military presence when those capsules were recovered, whereas here there really wasn't. So I think they're like definitely going to have to look into like improving the recovery methods.
Yeah, I think they're off Pensacola. I don't know. I just know it was in the international waters off the shelf. So
Okay.
it would take for all intents and purposes, either a Navy ship or a Coast Guard cutter to enforce, that y'all need to stay away. But that's a whole different argument up to obviously people way above my head.
Yeah.
But I was talking with a lot of people online. People are like, oh, why isn't there security out there? What do you want them to do in international waters? Board a privately held boat and, like, what are they going to do? You know what I mean? They're a private company landing government employees. They can't just board some bro dude's boat out there who's drinking beer, driving a boat. Like, there's nothing we can do about that.
No, but I'm fairly confident that they're gonna like look into improving the recovery techniques, recovery protocols to kind of
yeah, we'll definitely get there. It's not really a big issue. I think people were just playing it to be more than it actually really was. But when you look at like what you're able to do, I figure we could I had a last question we could kind of go through and we could wrap it up if you're okay with that.
No, that's fine.
So let's say it is 2020 with some magical like Starship development or ULA or SLS or whatever. Like, it's 2024. We're gearing up to go. We've sent one there and it's landed and it hasn't exploded. So we send people there. 10 years go by and we're like, all right, the regular population can go. They have some sort of system and they pick people. How many people do you think would honestly try to go to somewhere like Mars, or if we were even deeper out in space, like, Europa or Ganymede or something like that? How many people do you think would actually have the want or will to leave Earth?
I think a lot of people will, which is why I think at first it's going to be a like cost-based, a like price-based system. It's going to be, it's, just like, folks are buying tickets on board the, Virgin, flights. It's going to be something like that. And it's going to start off pretty high, maybe six figures, to, move to the moon or move to Mars. But I think over the next couple decades, it's then going to become cheaper. I mean, like, it's gonna cost money to move. It costs money to move even now, here on Earth. And so, you obviously, pay like moving costs or, whatever. And then you pay where, if you're moving into an apartment. I mean, like, costs are always going to be part of it. But I think at first it's going to be very high. It's going to be on terms of like six figures. And so the very well off, I think, are going to be moving first. And then over time, it's going to become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And then, but yeah, at first it's going to be like everyone and their mom's going to want to go. But you can obviously only fit so much. Like, if say they have this like settlement, hey, we can do like 1,000 people. Yeah, everyone and their mom's going to want to go, but they obviously have to divvy it down somehow. And I think it is going to be a kind of price-based, system.
Do you think that people will, like, I'm sure tons of people want to go, but do you think people will understand the gravity of what that means? Or do you think it'd just be like the cool thing to do?
I think it's going to be probably split. It's going to be like half are going to be like it's the cool thing without understanding the enormous risks. Because like here on Earth we take just literally living for granted. You can just walk outside and do whatever. On the moon and like even on the International Space Station, each astronaut has a job. Each astronaut has a system on the space station that they have to monitor. And if they fail to do that, if just one of them fails to do their job monitoring their whatever system that they're in charge of monitoring, literally everyone's dead. And I think going to the moon is going to be the same way. I think going to Mars is going to be the same way. Do I think that like every citizen is going to have their own job of survival? No. But like you're like over time you're going to have like teams of these people in some like back room monitoring the air quality, monitoring the habitat integrity. But I think at first the cool factor is going to kind of overtake it. I said 50-50, but I think the like cool factor is going to be the kind of like reigning maybe greater than 50%. But over time, when we start learning how to live in space better, when unfortunately mistakes are going to be made, and we learn how to successfully live in space long term, then I think the like cool factor is going to go down, and it's going to be more of a like I just want to try something new. Like I've kind of lived on this planet long enough. Much like me in Arizona, I've been in Arizona 5 years. I'm kind of over it. I kind of want to just move on. I think it's going to be, a lot of folks are going to be like, once they fully understand, the risks, they're going to be like, I've kind of had enough of this planet. I kind of want to try something new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I agree. I think that the first thing is going to be, oh, that's awesome. We got people that are like, I want to go. But then they realize that the literal air you breathe has to be carried and or manufactured in some way. Besides air, water, the next most important resource for us to have, weighs a stupid amount when you consider getting it to space. So all that's either has to be made or recycled, like the space station with the urine recycling system. So I think when a lot of people are phased through like the whatever training, or if there even is any, it'll probably weed out a lot of people because they won't understand the entirety of the situation. But I mean, obviously myself, and I'm sure you would probably be like chomp at the bit, like let's do it. Like I fully understand. I might not understand every little aspect, but I fully understand what I'm getting myself into here.
Oh yeah, no, I think at first, a lot of folks are gonna want to obviously leave Earth and go to the moon and go to Mars, but I think there is going to be some sort of training involved, and I think like as you said, it's going to kind of weed some people out. It's not going to be like it's going to be more than what people thought it was. It's going to be kind of just not really worth it to them. Like everyone might have this mindset that going to the moon is just like it's just like moving on Earth, like from one city to another, and it's not. There's a lot of risks that are taken into it, that are not considered. And I think over time people are going to start understanding those risks, and then we'll just see what happens from there.
Now, obviously the first time I had this conversation with a previous guest too, I was saying that whenever you send people to something together, because obviously most likely there's going to be a mix of male and female crew missions. It's not going to be like just men or just women. Obviously,
right.
There's going to be situations that you get to Mars and some kid's going to be born. That's just inevitable. You're not going to control. When it's not just like the scientists. The scientists are going to be purely there for the research, most likely. But when you get the regular people, as soon as that first kid is born, they're like, you're not coming back. Because as far as I understand, you would never be able to survive on Earth with gravity. So I think it's going to be just interesting, all the new things we have to figure out. Like, what does psychological tendencies have to do with being qualified to go to Mars? Like if you're a single dude that's never had a job versus a, let's say, a military member like you and I, does that make one better than the other to go? Like, I think there's all these interesting things we're gonna have to learn.
Yeah, no, and being former military, it's a lot kind of easier to kind of go on these kind of long-term trips. Um, but I've always, but on I mentioned earlier how I've been kind of having held the opinion of whatever crew we send isn't coming home.
Mm-hmm.
I also hold the opinion that whatever crew we send, it would be easier for everyone if they just didn't have families. For the exact reason of it very likely will be a one-way trip. It'll be easier on them. It'll be easier on us back home.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it's definitely going to be interesting these next few decades. I think we're gonna send the first astronauts to return middle of this decade, 25, 26, and then starting in the 2030s. I think we'll start slowly sending citizens up there, engineers, folks will have jobs, and we'll just go from there.
So a final little thought here, it's just a little, thought exercise that we could do, I guess, is a perfect world, Lawrence's world. You're in charge of everything related to the lunar and Mars program.
Oh God. Hang on. My head's hurting. Hang on. It's hurting.
So
okay, go on.
Let's just say some arbitrary amount, like 30 years. Okay. You're in charge of every aspect. What do you see as, like, in a perfect world, if you could control that, where do you see us in 30 years?
I see us definitely living on the moon. I see in 30 years from now, I see, hundreds, if not thousands of people living on the moon. They have their own economy. They have, their own, money system. They have, jobs. They have, everything's kind of, self-sustaining more or less, like you're going to have, air recycling systems, water recycling systems, and so forth. Mars, 30 years from now, I think that the first settlers will start settling Mars like 30 years from now, maybe. I mean, it could be more, but I think just like we mentioned earlier about slowly moving the, 8-ball, I think, we're going to have to first learn how to live on the moon, and then learning from those trials and tribulations, we will slowly start to learn to live on Mars. I think 30 years from now, the technology is going to be a lot better to where we won't have to rely on the literal orbital mechanics of getting to Mars. I think we're going to be able to maybe not like launch anytime, but certainly launch more frequently than the current 2-year window that we have. No, I think 30 years from now, I think you're going to have hundreds, if not thousands, of people living on the moon, and I think the first maybe 100 or so folks are going to be settling Mars.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think 30 years in a perfect Michael's world, like, Mars would probably have 300 to 400 people. But do I figure any more than that in 30 years? Probably that's not likely. But yeah. I mean, just because of what it takes to get there.
Oh yeah, no, especially like, going to the moon, we could launch it literally any time because it only takes 3 days to get there because it's right there. Whereas, as I said, going to Mars, you have to wait literally every 2 years to just launch from one or the other. And so I think if we're going to have, people successfully going to Mars and moving to Mars, even 30 years from now, the propulsion technology is going to have to improve substantially.
And we, as much as what's going on right now, to kind of close out our time here, I feel like as bad as certain people throughout the country thinks things are, or feel that certain ways are, I think that we're in a good space as far as like our future, because we have plenty of things that we can look forward to.
Yes.
Instead of just like trying to focus on what has happened, we can kind of look forward, in my view personally. So, I really appreciate you taking the time to be on here with me again.
Sure.
I'm always about one, talking with fellow military members. So, appreciate your service, sir.
You as well.
And two, space enthusiasts, because I honestly feel like we unite not against, for a common theme, which is the betterment of mankind. So I hope that you agree on that.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And right now we're in this definite kind of downturn in our a very low point in our country right now. But I think watching Demo-2 and watching especially Crew 1 in the next month or two, and then watching SLS slowly ramp up is definitely giving us something to look forward to. I think we're gonna get through the present crisis and in all aspects, just everything that's going on. And I think we're gonna be far stronger and far and ultimately it's gonna bring us closer together.
So can you tell everybody who might be watching this where they can find you and anything you might have going on?
Oh, yeah, you can most find me on Twitter at ET_exists. That's my like main hub, I guess. Instagram, I'm at like 300 followers. Slowly starting to ramp it up just like I did on Twitter. I'm currently driving DoorDash because it's the apocalypse and I can't find a job, real job. So, I mean,
if anybody's got something, hit up Laurence here, and I'm sure he'd be more than happy if you got some academic or scientific job for anyone who might be watching.
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
give Laurence a shout.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. No, I'm definitely going to be applying for this next PhD cycle. I haven't started sending out emails yet to folks. I'm still slowly making a list of possible advisors. I'm very confident. I haven't spoken to all of my letter writers yet. I know I have at least one. I'm definitely going to have the appropriate conversations with those letter writers. It's obviously always professional and polite to get their permission. I like often read on Twitter, folks would like get requests to write letters and they never said that they would, which is just awkward and rude. Yeah. And so, yeah, so right now I definitely have one. And so, Twitter is my main point of contact right now. I still have my book. I'm actually going to put it on Amazon soon. I'm going to try that again. The price is going to go up just a little bit, just because the Amazon fees. But I'm keep my fingers crossed. Hopefully, since it's on Amazon, it'll sell better. If I get into a PhD program, I'm definitely going to have to sell them all, since they all have my master's title, and I'm not going to be able to sell them when I have a PhD. So I'm going to have to sell them real quick. But yeah, Twitter at ET_exists is my main point of contact. And yeah.
Can you remind people the name of their book and how they can find that right now?
This is my book, Outer Solar System Moons, Your Personal 3D Journey. It has all sorts of cool 3D pictures in there. You can currently get it on my Etsy store. I haven't found that to be very useful in terms of a good selling point. Just because Etsy isn't really meant for books; it's meant for like handcrafted stuff, and so that's why I'm going to throw it on Amazon. But no, yeah, it's It's on my pinned tweet on my Twitter page, and hopefully folks can buy it. You get a free pair of 3D glasses, a free magnet, and a personalized autograph from me. And I've gotten some really good feedback, all 5-star reviews on my Etsy store, and yeah.
And for anyone watching, I have Laurence's book, and my kids loved it. So
thanks so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, they I've got them obsessed with everything about space, like any good parent should. But they absolutely loved it. So I'd say great job on that.
Oh, well, thanks, Mike. Thank you. I spent 6 months of my life last year working on it, and it's slowly starting to pay off.
Well, again, I appreciate your time, and you know, I'm hoping that at some point, maybe here and again in the future, we can have the third installment.
Oh yeah.